What's good, family and agents? It is J Show time, and if you've been following me on Twitter as of recent, you will have known that I've been making a select few tweets about this election, and if you have actually taken the time to read those tweets, you will understand that I'm not in favor of it whatsoever. And in my humble yet unoriginal opinion, I feel as if this is the worst election that has ever occurred, but yet simultaneously one of the most important elections that has occurred, at least here in the United States of America. And the reason that I feel this is one of the worst elections that we have ever encountered is not because of the candidates necessarily, even though, don't get me wrong, they do play a huge part in why I feel as if this is one of the worst ones, but more importantly because the many people that I've heard say that they are voting are saying that they are voting based upon morals and principles and what they feel about the candidate and what they feel the candidate will do in theory once they get in the office seat, rather than judging them based upon their policies, whether that be local or foreign, whether it be the rules and regulations that they plan to implement here in the States, or whether it be their actions, right? And these actions can be present or in the past, but they don't judge them based upon the practical things that I just mentioned to you. They're judging them based upon morals and principles. And I want you to keep this word or phrase, morals and principles, embedded in the front of your mind throughout this whole entire video, because guess what? That is going to be the word that we are going to be talking about. Now I'm going to give you a few examples as to why you should not use morals and principles as a primary gauge of whether or not you are going to vote for a candidate. So, number one, you do not know this person personally. You do not know whether or not they are saying that they have these morals and principles just to get your vote, or do they actually believe this? Because as we know, the nature of politicians and human nature in general, they will twist and turn and change up their positions on something in a heartbeat if they see that it makes them look better and will get them more votes. I mean, this is the game that you have to play if you're going to be a presidential candidate or somebody that wants votes, whether it be your high school president or you're trying to be a college president of a club or whatever. If you know that something is going to get you more votes, you will be tempted to do that thing because you know that it's guaranteed to get you the victory, or the W, as a lot of people of this day and age like to say. And because you only see them for the short period of their life when they are in front of the camera, which is the time where they're easily able to fake who they really and truly are as a person, as opposed to you being around them when they are not in front of the camera for the majority of their life to hear what they say and see what they do, to really see what their morals and principles actually are. You cannot say that you're going to vote for somebody based upon their morals and principles that they possess, because you do not know what morals and principles that they actually possess. Now, the second reason why you should not vote for a person primarily based upon morals and principles is going to be a whole lot more elaborate, but hey, I want you to get this principle. So if we look at society 100 to 200 years ago in comparison to what it is now, we will notice that morals and principles have changed. If we look in the past, we'll notice that fat acceptance was not acceptable, but now it is. We'll notice that feminism during that time was not acceptable, but now from a mainstream perspective, now it is. Quite naturally, there are people who are fighting it, but from a mainstream perspective, feminism is what is acceptable. If we look at when it comes to sexuality and being sexual and expressing your sexual desires and the things that you do on a sexual basis, you were supposed to keep that on the hush hush and on the low back during the day. But now you can be as open and as free about your sexcapades as you want to the public. So we see that the morals and principles that this society was once governed by has now made a drastic change from that period of time in the past. So what does that tell me? It tells me that morals are subjective and are based upon what society as a whole, from a mainstream perspective, is feeling at that particular time in history. And that is what I really want to get y'all to understand. That is one of the main points. So if somebody is willing to predominantly or completely go off of something that is as wavering and as changing as morals and principles in order to choose who is the best person for the presidential seat, then we really need to question, do they have the right to vote? Should they be allowed to vote if that is what they're going off of predominantly or solely? And to be completely honest with you, the many people that I've seen use this whole moral and principle argument, many of them will say that, well, if you're not voting for my candidate, then you're not on the side of morals and principles. And it's like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, because as we've seen, morals and principles are subjective and are forever changing. And they believe the same thing too, but if they were to admit it, then their whole argument will fall apart. So I want to end the video with this, right? And this is what I honestly feel is going to be the downfall of civilization as we know it. Many people of this election are using the whole moral and principle argument because they do not want to deal with the facts, statistics, empirical evidence, and data and objective truth concerning their candidate that they are voting for. And I'm gonna say this again because if you don't get anything that I've said in this video, I want you to at least leave with this. Many of the people who are using this whole principle and morals argument and saying that if you don't vote for my candidate, you're not on the side of morals and principles is because they want to completely do away with the logical and rational and objective truth of things. Because if you say that you're on the side that is right and you're for morals and principles, then that's all you need to justify anything that your candidate does. And because I want the video to end on that note, I'm not going to even do my regular outro. So as you know, my social media links are in the description down below if you want to see how I am outside of this whole YouTube thing. Some people say I'm entertaining, some people say I'm boring. You'll never know unless you actually check it out for yourself. But with all that being said, I'm out.